hello galactic family. As the cosmic energies of our planet become more and more poured out by emphasizing the contrasting expression of the frequencies of the light and the dark ones during this transitional time, many of us, whether we are aware of this elevation in contrasting vibrations, experience ruptures and breakthroughs at a fast pace. We are being pushed to awaken, to align with the divine force. This process is bringing in everything that is not of the same frequency and that our spirit is currently taking notice, doing download to be transmuted. Many things are emanating and changing at multidimensional levels that are outside our conscious awareness. The strong currents of these galactic waves are pressing us to traverse the flow of transformation. Any resistance or desperate need to control this process based on fear can lead us to be sucked into the underground current and be retained, until we can return to the wave again, learn our lessons and keep the work of necessary to incorporate the higher frequencies. From a hyperdimensional perspective, the occult/secret anti-divine forces operate by overcoming, trying to block as many human beings as possible in a frequency prison, which will be augmented with the emergence of the artificial intelligence transhumanist agenda, which allows for the rapture of the soul in order to neutralize the divine force of awakening, and thereby ensure that they do not lose their source of food. However, this increased friction and suffering has a teaching function, as part of the evolution of consciousness, and serves as a catalyst and opportunity for internal alchemical initiation for people who have the soul seed's ability to truly begin to question everything which has always been believed/said/taught by the official culture. Most importantly, it can activate an engagement in sincere self-employment and incorporation practices, soul growth/integration. The choice of answering the call is, as always, within each individual, and it also depends on the potential of your soul and personal lessons, for not everyone is here to awaken in this current cycle and there is no judgment in around it, while we are also in the middle of a division of reality timelines. This is, after all, the apocalypse, which means revelation, not destruction, and hidden for the subject means hidden, nothing inherently to do with bad intention. Matrix hyperdimensional control system. Anyone who is familiar with my work knows that I write and talk a lot about the hyperdimensional matrix control system HMCS, that is, the non-physical occult hostile forces and their mechanisms aimed at keeping us asleep spiritually. To recapitulate this phenomenon in a nutshell, humanity is not at the top of the food chain, and humanity is not in control of its sovereign decisions on a macro scale. The idea of free will is in many ways an illusion. Most of what you see on the world stage is manipulated and designed to create this frequency of food of fear and reactivity fueled by scarcity, to keep humanity in a prison of frequency, governed by forces that operate out of our perception sensory. These forces work through us/others, including the elite/controllers on a 3-ad level, which they use as portals/puppets to execute their agenda and distract us by projecting the shadows of separation consciousness into the wall of the world stage. Divide and conquer an official culture, government, or any belief in external authority is also an arctic creation. The perfect basis for keeping people trapped in an interminable bond of conflict with each other, ensuring that we remain powerless to produce all the junk they need to stay well fed. There are beings in the spiritual realms for whom anxiety and fear emanating from human beings offer welcome food. When human beings have no anxiety and fear, these creatures die of hunger. People not yet sufficiently convinced of this statement could understand that this should be compared significantly, but for those who are familiar with this phenomena, it is a reality. If fear and anxiety radiate from people and they explode in panic, then these creatures welcome the nourishment of it and become more and more powerful. These beings are hostile to humanity. All that feeds on negative feelings, anxiety, fear and superstition, despair or doubt, are in reality hostile forces on supramensible worlds, launching vicious attacks on humans as they are fed. Therefore, it is above all necessary that the person entering the spiritual world begins by overcoming fear, feelings of helplessness, despair, and anxiety. But these are exactly the feelings that belong to contemporary culture and materialism. Because it distinguishes people from the spiritual world, this is especially suited to evoke hopelessness and fear of the unknown in people, thus calling the above-mentioned hostile forces against them. Rudolf Steiner, source German Rudolf Steiner, Die Erkenntnis der Seele und des Geistes, Berlin, 1907. But this is a concept that is really difficult for most people to understand and accept what they have to say, and is ridiculed as science fiction, absurd conspiracy or mental/psychological delirium because it is so distant from the conditioned beliefs and vision of life, a perspective that is inserted in our minds by the same force. Yet in spite of cynical skepticism, all the ancient schools of mystery, true shamanic knowledge, and esoteric teachings, many of which were suppressed and/or distorted over thousands of years for obvious reasons, conveyed this truth to those with eyes to see and hear to hear, using its own language and symbolism, be it the general law esoteric Christianity, archers Gnostics, lords of destiny Hermetism, predators/flyers, all topics shamanism Castaneda, the evil magician Gurdjieff, the Shaden Sufism, the Jin Arab mythology, Wetiko Native American spirituality, occult hostile forces Sri Aurobindo, and the Mother, the integral yoga. It also relates to the UFO phenomenon and alien forces that have genetically modified humans, degrading our race from the original model, eons ago. This is not a fairy tale or superstition. All our modern civilization is largely a product of this force. Our society is an alien construction that we have been led to accept as arising from human nature, a condition that pathology has become normalized. Do not expect this knowledge and truth to be brought through TED, Oprah, the NY bestseller list, the dominant science, and much less any celebrity, spiritual politician or guru. And do not believe me either, discover for yourself. But I suggest you do not ridicule/judge, or have an opinion about something until you have sincerely researched yourself, which in this case also entails sincere esoteric self-work in order to perceive these forces directly, see the invisible beyond appearances, and finally free themselves from their influence by touching their own connection embodied within the divine and spirit, the activation of DNA to reconnect with its original model prior to our collective genetic modification. We are asleep, in a dream state, and, mistakenly, we think we are awake. One of the fundamental aspects of the ontological category of ignorance is the ignorance of this ignorance. He not only does not know, he does not know he does not know. We are in a kind of prison, but we do not know. This BIP black iron prison is a vast complex life form that protects itself by inducing a negative hallucination of it. The occlusion is self-perpetuating. It makes us unaware of it. It is supposed to combat it by phagocytic wisdom, as does the immune system in our body. But the stasis capacity of BPI/prison stasis is the retention of vital energy in some specific part of the body, constituting itself a pathology, deviates us in micro extensions of itself. That is precisely why it is so dangerous. This is the fearsome it brings, extending your android thinking more and more extensively. It exerts a terrible and subtle power, and more people fall into its field power, through which it grows. This is a sinister form of life indeed. First it takes power over us, reducing us to slaves, and then makes us forget our previous state, and being unable to see or think directly vertically, and not knowing that we cannot see or think straight, and finally becomes invisible to us because of what we did. We cannot even monitor our own deformity, our own deficiency. We have no psyche of its own. It kills the authentic psyche of these creatures trapped in it, and replaces them with a spurious microform of its own dead psyche. The very doctrine of fighting the hostile world and its power was largely calcified and placed at the service of the empire. The BPI prison turns every new effort of freedom into a form of more tyranny. The empire is just a ghost, persistent because we sleep. While the root of evil is hidden, it is strong. But when it is recognized, it is dissolved. When it is revealed, it perishes. It is powerful because we do not recognize it. The bombardment of pseudo-realities begins to produce inauthentic humans very quickly. The artifact enslaves us, but, on the other hand, it is trying to teach us to abandon its enslavement. The highest power of compassion is the only power capable of solving the maze. The true measure of a man is not his intelligence or how high he rises in this creeping establishment. No, the real measure of a man is this: how quickly he can respond to the needs of others and how much of himself he can give. If the ultimate paradox of the maze is that the only way you can escape is to voluntarily go back inside it, then maybe we are here voluntarily. We went back inside. The anamnesis, according to Plato, consists of the progressive effort by which the individual consciousness goes back, from the sensitive experience to the world of ideas. Was the loss of amnesia. You remembered their origins, and they were very beyond the stars.